What's going on, guys? It is MurderInc back with another Raid Shadow Legends video. Today we're going to be talking about resistance, how important it actually is, and all of the kind of hidden numbers behind it that aren't straightforward out in front of you. I was lucky enough to talk with the people at Plarium and get the rundown on actually how resistance works, and from that I thought it was very important to make this video to let you guys know just how much benefit this actually has and where you can use it. So there are two things I want to talk about as far as resistance goes. Resistance is actually weighted higher than accuracy, which means that if you have 100 resistance and 100 accuracy, resistance is actually in favor there. While that may not seem fair, it's very important for people to know. The exact numbers are around 130 accuracy is the equivalent to 100 resistance as far as landing debuffs goes. So there are a lot of places where that information can be very vital to you. On top of that, every single champion, dungeon boss, dungeon wave champion, and clan boss has a baseline of 3% resistance. This means that you can build 5,000 accuracy, even though that isn't possible, and you will always have a 3% chance to resist in the content you are doing. Why this is important? I figured this out a long time ago when I tried stacking a Tayrel for the spider dungeon. I gave him about 560 resistance on that defense down, saying, okay, this is going to be really good. I'm going to have 100% success rate. There's no way the resistance is high enough on this Spider 20 boss to resist me. And I found out that even though there is a lot of RNG involved, I ended up hitting that 3% resistance about 4 times in 20 runs, which was very frustrating. I did not understand why. So why this is beneficial, it means that all you have to do is build accuracy based on the content you're doing, and you don't have to go overboard, which is why I gave numbers like 250 accuracy for the clan boss Ultra Nightmare, 185 to 200 accuracy for the Nightmare clan boss, and pretty much trickling down from there. As far as dungeon goes, I usually recommend on the safe side 200 accuracy for every single dungeon. For waves it's much lower, but you really have to focus on the bosses if you want to be consistently applying those debuffs to any dungeon boss that is level 20. Obviously I'm doing a crypt keep here, so 200 accuracy would not apply. That's definitely overkill. Now we get to the arena and why this is so important. Thinking back to early game and early game applications of resistance and accuracy, accuracy is extremely hard to come by in the early game. Now the fact that resistance has a huge benefit, I think it's very harmful when people, other content creators are saying, forget about resistance, it's an awful stat, especially in the early game, where it can actually help you out a lot. Most early game players, some mid game players really struggle getting that accuracy banner for their champions. And unfortunately, some players are even getting rid of things like accuracy chest pieces and resistance chest pieces because they hear that flat stats are bad on items and they're taking it for face value, considering accuracy on a chest as well as resistance on a chest as a flat stat item. Now, one thing you can do to extremely increase your early on arena teams, which has definitely been a very hot topic as of lately, put on a resistance chest piece, especially on a champion who does not need accuracy. You have a very, very high chance of resisting any debuff thrown your way based on how much accuracy is actually available to be stacked in that early game, which gives you a significant lead. It also gives you that psychological aspect of having a higher team power, making other people less inclined to fight you. Now, I've stressed this enough. There's really nothing to be looked into as far as a high team power. I've seen tons of high team power teams in the arena that were terribly built. It's pretty obvious to see, even if they're using legendaries, how they're not really a scary team. All you have to do is build a solid tuned team. Even if you're using full rares, you don't need insane gear, and you can beat legendaries fairly easy. I know a lot of people may be saying you have a very endgame account, how would you know that? Well, I do have a second account, and while it does have a legendary, it doesn't have great gear. I haven't spent a ton of money on it, and I've actually gone through all the way to Silver Arena with very minimal gear, just because I speed tuned, used the proper champions, and put gear where it's supposed to be. And I've been able to fairly easily beat a lot of these legendary teams that I see people constantly posting about, saying, oh, they have to skip them because the power is high, they have 3 or 4 legendaries, when in reality, a lot of them are there because their teams are awfully built, and anyone who actually takes the time to actually fight them realizes that it's a very easy win. And one thing just for fun that I did want to show you, I did build my Skull Lord Vargal with as much resistance as possible. As you can see, it's 139,000 power just from this guy alone, which is the equivalent of some teams that I fight. And it was a lot of fun to do. I got to find my best resistance pieces. I ended up getting 780 resistance baseline for this guy. Obviously I have resistance masteries. What's really cool is if you pair this with Razin in the arena, we're actually getting an additional 90 resistance. So going back to Skull Lord, 90 plus 780, we're looking at 870 resistance from this champion, which is absolutely insane. And the amount of accuracy it would take to actually debuff this champion would be borderline unrealistic unless someone's using an accuracy aura. However, an easy counter to that is if someone is in fact stacking that much accuracy, it would mean they are not stacking any resistance at all. So I could simply use a Sylar with this guy, reduce their accuracy by 50%, which would absolutely destroy their dreams on thinking they could debuff this champion. Now obviously you don't need excessive resistance like I'm talking about, but having a champion with decreased accuracy, kind of like Sylar, who's actually extremely good because she also decreases speed and the turn meter of all enemies. If you can get decreased accuracy onto your enemy team, give them a decent amount of resistance, your team is going to be extremely difficult to beat in the arena. Alright guys, so that basically sums up the main point of this video. Nothing too crazy. I did not want to make it too long, and one thing that you can do is put a few points into the resistance on your Great Hall. The first 1 or 2 points in resistance are extremely cheap as far as how much it costs metal wise, so getting them to 3, even 30 resistance, you'd be surprised at how much that could do with a resistance chest piece on, especially in the early game. You can make a lot of champions on your team a complete nuisance in the arena when the enemy constantly gets resisted, trying to place debuffs, trying to CC your team, and it just won't happen. But you'll have that advantage of 3% resistance that's baseline on every single champion, on top of having the added bonus of needing 30 additional accuracy to match and consistently land against someone, stacking the same amount of resistance. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys think about resistance. What do you think you can do with this information to make any type of content easier for you going forward? Don't forget, if you like this video, make sure to subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and like this video would mean the world to me. I'm really excited to get more videos out like this, giving you guys information that you should have known a long time ago, as well as focusing more on champion spotlights as we get closer to this massive champion rebalance that is going to go into effect. So until next time, my friends, I will see you in the next video.